Yes, welcome back to another video. Today, high day. So I'm running through what a high day is. It's also legs. It is 180 protein, 550 carb and 55 fat on a high day. And a low day is 180 protein, 300 carb and 47 grams of fat. I think it's about 3,200 calories today. I have a haircut today. So I'm gonna go train and then immediately afterwards go to the hairdressers, so I've got to make 2 meals. But yeah, that's the plan for today, as well as work, as usual. Meal 1, first meal of the day. I've already had my big digestion drink that I normally have, because that was earlier this morning. I keep waking up proper early, like 4 in the morning. That's just the nature of being lean. Anyway, 100 grams of cream of rice, which to anybody on prep, that is just, may as well be sex. And yes, I'm still having it. I think a lot of guys, well, I don't think it, I know it. Shed loads of guys lose their libido very early on in prep because of the drugs they're taking. Oh, but I'll get peeled, bruv. Nah, you'll just feel like shit. If you're losing your libido on prep, that's one of the first signs that you need to pull back, because you should not be having the inability to get bonus from like any time, but like, let's say 8 weeks out or earlier, that's fucked. So yeah, pull back on your drugs. I always find it funny when you say shit like that to people and they're in like almost denial about it. Like, I remember when I've used NPP in the past and like, you get a boner, but it disappears quite quickly. I've spoken to mates about it, being like, oh, you're not struggling with the bit of the no PP from the NPP. And they're like, no, I'm still good. And they're like, yeah, but do you get a boner and then it disappears? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's NPP for you. They're like, oh. And the same things with prep. Like, you know, it's not like I haven't experienced that for myself when I'm just there like, oh, la, 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 la. Never happened to me. Yeah, it's happened to me. It's not fun. And once you are shown the way as to how to prep without that occurring, you're there like, what the fuck was I doing before? Like, it's always just been a thing where people are like, oh, it's totally normal to lose your sex drive, lose your ability to get a boner during a prep just because it's prep. No, totally unhealthy, completely ridiculous, and just not needed. And it's all for the sake of wanting to push more drugs. And all you do is just cause greater stress on the body. And you don't get fucking peeled. And you can't have sex either. So it's like, yep, cool. You're getting all of the awful shit. And you're like, I need to suffer, bro. And you're like, no, you really don't. If you're doing something that you fucking hate, you aren't going to be able to consistently keep that up. Even if you love it and it's just brutally difficult, there's only so much of that you can handle. Oh, sorry, 30 grams of whey, 10 grams of dark chocolate, and then 3 to 4 grams of pink salt. And then we're going to add 100 grams of banana, and we're going to add 100 grams of strawberries. But yeah, people love denying the shit that's wrong with them just for the sake of taking more drugs. And their coaches will just tell them that it's the right thing to be doing, oh, it's part of prep. They just don't know what they're actually doing, and that's all they fucking know how to do things is. They have a process. I said this before, the majority of coaches are just junkies with the process. They just want to shove you full as many drugs as they can because it's like a safety blanket. If you're taking all the drugs you can possibly buy or possibly use, your head is going, well, and you feel like shit doing it as well. So you're like, oh, if I feel like shit, then it must be working. And you're like, oh, if I'm taking everything, then I must be peeled because I'm taking T3, I'm taking T4, I'm on a boatload of clan. So I must be peeled, when in reality, you're just watery as shit. And you're waiting for like a load, like, you know, to go full again for you to actually start getting some detail. The detail should be more present when you get flatter. Only when you get really flat do they disappear, and then you fill back out, and then they pop through. But, you know, fucking hell. Just understanding the difference between flat and full as well. And plenty of guys just you either push things way too hard because they're like, go get peeled, bruv, or you never end up getting lean. And even if you do push things too hard, you probably do never end up actually getting full and lean. You just end up depleted and look like you've been starved, which is half the problem. Anyway, got really off topic there. We're talking about food, not about your inability to get a boner because you're running too much gear, but you know, it's part of it. Anyway, drug-wise for me at the minute, still 150 tests, 300 primo, 200 mast, and then as of last week, we added in 40 micrograms of Clen on my cardio days, so my low days, which is 5 days a week. So 45 minutes of cardio, the Clen goes in, 40 micrograms. And on the days that I have my high days, we take the Clen out because I don't need it, because it's for the additional calorie burn, whereas I'm not actually utilizing it for that. And obviously with the high days, we're trying to fill me back up. So anything that's going to impede that filling don't want to have it in. So take the clen out. Nothing to do with receptor sites or anything like that. It's all like, you know, you've got to cycle clen, bro. No, you don't. It's just to do with the actual utility of the thing. So I don't need it on those days. But on training days, 250 milligrams of L-carnitine. Yeah, people that use up to a gram of that shit, it's not effective past 250 milligrams. So there's no fucking point in using any more than that, guys that just use it arbitrarily. It's great because I only have to put 0.5 ml in at the minute, which is fantastic. But yeah, I do notice some performance benefit. I get a better pump, and you just last longer in the session, which is good. You have a bit more energy. So that's the current stack. So that's only on training days as well. I don't put the L-carnitine in on the rest days because there's no fucking point because I'm not going to use it. You know, what performance benefit am I doing other than fucking sitting around and walking the dog? Yeah, leg day today. You know what? I've not really noticed much in the way of regression. I have been gym hopping a little bit, especially with my chest and arms session, because it's usually towards a weekend, so I'm off going somewhere sometimes. Okay, that is pre. This shall be post. 100 grams of oats. Again, is like staring at it's just porn basically at this point. On my low days, it's 50 grams of oats and 50 cream of rice, which in bodybuilding terms ain't even that fucking low realistically. Oh, amazing. This is like a Faye alternative from Tesco, which is the high protein natural yogurt. It tastes about as good as the 0% fat Faye, in that it doesn't really have much taste at all, but it is about a third of the price. So I couldn't avoid that one. You know, some of these branded products now, that's a 500 gram tub. For a 450 of Faye, it's going to cost you near enough £4, and that's like £1.80. You know, it's just stupid how expensive food is getting at the minute. I've been reading a book called Ultra Processed People. So interesting in terms of how our food is made and the resultant diseases it has been causing. And obviously, you know, we know that processed food is bad. I was about to say, why am I having oats and cream of rice instead of, say, a cereal like this, which was for my girlfriend, which probably needs to go in the bin. If we look at the ingredients list on this, like Cheerios, obviously whole grain oat, only 30%, 28% wheat. And then we're on to some sugar, whole barley. This isn't actually too bad for a cereal. Wheat flour, which contains a load of different things. And then we're on to the stuff which is essentially the food replacement. So the stuff which enables you to bulk out the food, basically, to make it, you add calories and you bring the cost down. So the actual ingredients that you should be putting in there, you replace with other things that are just reconstituted starches, basically, in order to make the food taste, look, feel the same as it should do, rather than using the actual ingredients. What it does is it prolongs the life of the food, makes it more addictive, taste a certain way, etc. Anyway, we get onto the actual list of stuff here. When we're invert sugar syrup, there's a little bit of honey, and then we're on to, you know, like sunflower oil, antioxidants with random names I can't provide, flavoring, and then numerous B vitamins. To be fair, this isn't awful. This one isn't bad at all, Honey Cheerios. When it comes to stuff like Cocoa Pops or Frosties, check your ingredients lists. It's not necessarily what the food is made from, it's how that ingredient is made. So a really good example in the book is butter that's not butter, margarine basically. And in the war, the Germans were unable to produce enough fats to sort of feed the people. So lots of different scientists coming up with ways to effectively get more food out of the current supply of food. And they came up with another form of butter, which was made from paraffin. Paraffin is a waste product of coal. And even in the book, you know, even the Germans were there like, look, you know, we're giving it to certain soldiers who we know don't have a very long life expectancy. And a lot of them would get severe stomach cramps and really bad issues long term with eating this stuff. And they still sell it, you know, it was still sold for ages. As like, you know, another version of butter, and it tastes the same, looks good, spreads really nicely, but it will cause serious problems. So how your food is made, what goes into it, and what has been utilized to essentially replace the ingredient that should be there instead. Ice cream, for is a perfect example, like especially at the minute with the wars that are going on and where we're getting, say, different seed oils from. i.e. Ukraine, that area of the world, with the prices of those going up, you're going to see the transfer from seed oils over to stuff which is even cheaper in terms of the fat source for certain foods. So your ice cream, for example, could end up having chicken fat in it to replace the seed oil that should be cream in the fucking first place. So yeah, it's a very interesting book. I would definitely recommend reading it. Anyway, 100 grams of oats, 300 grams of high protein, cheaper than fire yogurt, 100 grams of blueberries, 100 grams of raspberries, and then I am just gonna whack in 10 grams of peanut butter. Trying to get 10 grams out of this is fucking a precision game. Yeah, there we go. Woof, I let the dog out. It's just me and the dog at the minute. Parents are on holiday in Barbados for 3 weeks. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous at all. They're bringing me back some cigars as payment for looking after the dog. It's fine. But yeah, there we go. Obviously, I'll have my intra as well, which is only 15 grams of carbs these days, with a few other bits. Cinnamon on top of both here. And now we dig in. Whoa. Right, straight into the gym for legs, and obviously we're starting off with a standing calf raise. 3 sets here, 3 straight sets, no intensifiers or anything like that. Looking to get rather strong at these. I know I'm in prep now, and obviously getting stronger is a difficulty, but we don't want to just give up on the strength goals just because you're getting leaner. It's very, very much still possible to get stronger while you're in prep, so it's not a worry. So we're going to keep trying to push things here. It is just more difficult. Like, you really do just take the rep where you can take it, and not sort of stress about it too much. Yes, obviously I logbook everything, but I think a lot of people get really wrapped up with the logbook and they get really depressed when they don't match or beat their numbers. And like, you just get to a point, you're like, well, there's a reason for it. I'm still trying my fucking ass off. I'm still screaming. I'm still, stuff still hurts. I'm still getting a lot of stimulation. It's all good. I just need to find a way to improve. And if I can't progress it, then I'll just find a way to make the form harder so I still get some good stimulation. So it's just one of those, isn't it? But yeah, fucking hell, getting right into those partials there. Ugh, dead. Okay, now we're next on to the adductor, which was 1 straight set and 1 drop set. You see, when I get into this, I'm making sure that it's super fucking wide so that I can't bottom out the machine. With the adductor, you really want to get a fat stretch, because it will just rinse the fuck out of your adductors. I remember seeing a thing a while ago, you don't want to overstretch the adductors. As soon as I worked out that was a bunch of bullshit, my adductors started growing shed loads, because you start hammering the shit out of that stretch position. It's where the majority of the damage is done when it comes to muscular damage, which obviously leads to hypertrophy. So we really want to be rinsing that stretch position as much as we can. It also limits the amount of weight you can use. Not that if anybody has ever seen anybody tear an adductor on one of these things, usually because they're not set up that wide anyway, but it does feel like you're getting absolutely ripped in half when you get into that stretch position, but it's what you need, and you've got to really hammer it. It's the partials here, really trying to keep it moving, but yeah, it's rough. It is rough, but it's good shit. And then we're on to leg extensions, 2 sets again here. So straight set, first one. You can see some more quad lines from me there, sort of indication of how much leaner I'm getting. I'm actually recording this about a week later after this session, so I've got significantly leaner again. I think I was 97 here, and since then I've been as low as 95.4, I think, or 6. But yeah, anyway, big stretch. I've actually got the seat all the way back here. In the second set I had the seat all the way back because I'm looking to maximize the amount of stretch I can get as well as the contraction. And with these prime machines, obviously they allow you to set up the machine so it's lightest in the contraction and heaviest in the stretch. And obviously, as I just said, the stretch is the element where we get the most amount of muscular damage. So I really want to be hammering that as well as hammering the contraction and leg extensions, because it's literally the only movement we can actually get the quad fully shortened on. And you see the amount of detail that's in my quads at the minute. There is a big correlation between getting that full full contraction, and also having some relatively deep and cut up quads. So I would definitely hammer the shit out of the contraction all the time. Then we're on to the double, is it double drop or double rest pause? There's a double rest pause here. But yeah, just slightly better angle. I've also got a new tripod recently, and I didn't realise how tall it was. It's taller than me, but you can get some really good angles with it, which is what this is. But yeah, there is there. Just skip through the set in there. Straight into this rest pause here. Obviously, I'm still trying to hammer the contractile position. I'm not just letting it go. I'm really trying to push through and make sure that I'm trying to get to that next rep. I'm never just like, oh, that'll do. You know, I really, really want to always be hammering these stretch partials, and I want to be getting stuck in the contraction where I can. I don't want to just get there and just flop it back down. You know, you really want to be fighting at all times to make sure you're getting the most out of each rep. I always have it with clients that like they think they're training hard, but then there's always a next level to it. And you know, you want that attention to detail. You really want to be trying to push things harder and harder. And even if it is only a fraction of a percent, you still want to be getting in there, and you want to know that you train hard. And only really you can fucking see it on video. Most people can't judge it by the time they train, because they're like, well, I'm out of breath, oh, it hurts, it must be hard. It's like, yeah, but the weight will still move, so it's not that hard. Right, onto seated leg curls here. What have I been doing here? It's definitely a case of I'm finally working this back up. I did get to a point with it where in off season I was using like the majority of the stack, but I was like, this just doesn't feel quite right. So I've taken a bit of an approach of trying to get as much range of motion, as much control as I can out of it. But with seated leg curls, and lying leg curls, to be fair, I just can't get my ankles all the way back to my arse. My legs just don't do it. And it's not that I don't have the flexibility. They just, the contraction stops at that midpoint for me. Like, it just doesn't go any further. So that's where I've been getting to. But as you see me do the whole set, perform the whole thing, we do get to a point where those contractions start to get a bit less. I don't get all the way as far back. It's not a bad thing. I've still got a shitload of tension through those hamstrings, and I'm just taking it into a stretch partials failure, which is realistically what you want to be doing with the majority of your movements. So very happy with that, and just fucking smashing the shit out of it. On to the hack squat. Moved over to the Atlantis, which we if you watched the previous video, you see I've done that as well, just because the Cybex is brutal across the whole body, and I really want to have something that's a bit lighter so I can actually get in my quads a bit better. But this also provides a bigger range of motion than the Cybex. If I were to try and get more range of motion out of the Cybex, I need to use like yoga blocks. Like I'm not overly short. I'm 5'9", but the Cybex is just fucking, it's brutal. It's the reason people call it the destroyer of knees. But it's also one of those where it actually doesn't go that deep. You can bottom it out, and I don't want to be bottoming it out. I can bottom this out, to be fair, but it is very fucking deep when I do it. So it's just one of those where I've really made an effort, especially with this being a lighter machine, to get my heels as low as I can, so I can really try and get my arse down towards my heels and get maximum ROM through the knee, rather than say also the hip. You're going to get a shitload of range of motion through the hip too. You're going to hit a load of glute, but we want to be really putting a lot of tension through them quads. You see how much the contraction, the concentric, has slowed down there, and that's how you know you're really working hardest, when those start to really slow down and you're like blowing out your fucking asshole. Onto a funky movement now, the Platt Sissy. I've seen loads of people start doing these now. To be fair, they're an excellent movement. One thing I've really noticed that I need to start doing with this was really driving my hips forward in that stretch. I'm not getting all the way back up there, just purely because that's what feels the best when I'm doing it. Like, I feel like I lose the tension once I go beyond that 90 degree, because obviously we're looking to get the maximum amount of stretch out of this movement that we can. Like, that's what I want to do. I'm really trying to smash the shit out of my rec fem, as well as the rest of the quad. You're not going to isolate it, but that's the area which is really going to take a battering on here, because you're in that full stretch position with the hips forward. And you do notice when you watch stuff back that maybe you need to be getting higher up, and that's probably something I do need to work on here and really push through a bit harder. But I notice my heels start to drop down then when I do that, and maybe I don't have as much tension on the quad, but I probably need to just do a little bit more anyway. But that's all good. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Right, onto leg press. I've swapped over to the Cybex squat press away from the hammer strength linear 45 degree, whatever you want to call it, leg press, because I can get a lot deeper with this, and I don't bottom it out, whereas with the hammer strength I do bottom it out. This I can basically fold my fucking ankles back to my arse, which is excellent. We also have the OG Cybex leg press in the Chester one as well, the Chester gym, and that's fucking brutal too. But this is lovely. Like, yeah, I know loads of people take the piss out of the machine, but oh, you can just load shitloads of plates in it. Well, after I've done all that, I fucking can't. And getting this amount of range of motion with the tempo is just really, really good. And especially at the minute in prep, like, you know, you don't want to be having to use something which is going to take your whole fucking soul rather than just wanting to smash the shit out of your quads, glutes, adductors. So it's a really nice piece, very useful, and can really take it there. So really happy with that. And as well, move on to the single leg press next, which I again use this machine for purely because, again, range of motion. Like, you get super deep with it. I have to be careful with my heel here so it doesn't lift. Like, you see me change my foot position a lot. Obviously, I haven't really used this one that much for this movement. I've been using the hammer strength, so it's just a case of getting used to that. But, you know, as continues with the saga of my right knee versus my left knee is the one that was not operated on, and my right one is the one that was operated on when I was 16. I'm now 28, so it's been 12 years. But the discrepancy between the strength between the right and the left leg is still very much there. So I think I managed like a really hard 8 or 9 reps here on the right leg, but on the left leg it was a fucking breeze, which we'll see in a second. But this is what happens when you have major surgeries like I had. I had a full MCL replacement, which involved removing meniscus tissue at the same time. So they grafted from my right hamstring, not even my left one, which would have been the good leg. They fucked up the same side leg, but it did work, so fine. So they grafted a piece of my right hamstring. And, why have we got a big jump there? I just haven't edited that. Oh, well. But yeah, they grafted a bit of my right hamstring into what would become my MCL tendon. And then they also moved the tendon which connects your kneecap to your shin. They lowered that because I had a luxating patella, which meant it sat high naturally. So whenever you cunts want to be like, you're genetically gifted, like, how about the genetic disposition I have to dislocate my right fucking knee? Yeah, thanks for that. 3 dislocations and a surgery. There we go. Genetics for you, baby. But yeah, you see how much easier this is on the left leg. I do have a bit more quad muscle on the left leg as well, but I have a lot better activation of my right glute, so there we go, whatever. Speaking of glutes, on to glute drive. I do 2 different glute drives in my split, and this is the other one because it is a drop set. It's a double drop set straight into it. So with this, I'm really trying to keep my abs tight. You can see them bulging out there, but yeah, abs tight, trying to keep my shins nice and vertical. I've actually got the foot plate here on its highest setting. You can lower it, but that's its highest, so I can get a lot of flexion through the glute. Granted, you can get more flexion through the glute on a fucking RDL or on a leg press, for God's sake. Like, look how much you're not actually getting, but it's all about the contraction here. This is where, you know, like, I have really good glute detail as well as being lean down there. It is also a case of having smashed the living fuck out of these machines. So that's the full stack right there, and we're doing it relatively easy. Drop it down and go again. And it is just a case of smashing the living fuck out of it and smashing your glutes, yeah. But, you know, glutes have definitely become more of a thing in the last however many years, ever since Classic has everybody started getting fucking super mega peeled. So they're a requirement now. You can't really avoid it. And there's plenty of guys that don't quite have glutes, even in the pros, even the open pros. So it's an area you've really got to work on if you want that extra detail in those back shots and side shots. It's a very large area for me, so I need it super duper detailed. And that's what we're aiming for. Anyway, that's the full leg workout. Right, we're home post gym. Walked the dog, got to the gym, etc. And so now we're doing meal 3, which is a lot of potatoes. 550 grams of potato, which is shed loads. So we're just gonna chop. Lots of chopping right now. Call me Chopin. A nice sort of lunch-esque meal, even though it is, nearly 4 o'clock right now. So eating a bit later because obviously haircut and such, and then need to do some work after this. Doing the podcast with Vicky at 4:30, so we got some bits to do today. Another client to onboard. Had a lot of interest recently, so that's really good. Really enjoying that. Really enjoying. I started the community as well on Instagram, which I just hadn't done. I didn't think anyone would be interested, and I didn't really feel I had any content to provide for it, but obviously had done some mentoring with Vicky. I'm not doing that now, but I'm doing a lot of my own reading around nutrition, around drugs, and I'm making a lot of notes. So I thought, rather than just sit there and do nothing, I stick it on Instagram in a community. This dog is a footballer in a previous life. He constantly plays with this thing. I will have to show you once I've finished chopping. he's also very loud with it. Wanted to get a bit more sort of involved on that side of thing, and you know, there's plenty of stuff out there which just needs explaining, like, you know, basic stuff like how testosterone works or how muscle is fucking formed in the body. I mean, it's not basic. The funny thing is, when people say, oh, bodybuilding's simple, fuck me, it's not simple. The actual processes by which your body goes about creating muscle or utilizing steroids and how that actually functions, it's very complicated, and people, you know, the function of it, you know, lift weights, fucking eat food, that sort of thing, but getting it right and getting it like down to the cellular level, which it can be very important, you know, particularly for guys who want to get really far along and understand the actual processes by which things actually function. It is really complicated, so poo-pooing it and just being like, nah, it's easy, mate. It's just like, the guys who say shit like that are generally the guys who aren't great bodybuilders. My least favorite thing in bodybuilding at the minute is bang for buck. I don't want bang for buck, I want attention for detail. That's what I want. That's what you need as a good athlete, is an eye and attention to detail. Nothing to do with just slapdash, whatever works. Yeah, you've got to find the specifics. Right, that's the potato done. It's a lot of potato, as you can see. So I'm gonna have to get the air fryer out. We have a giant one. It's this one. My parents like making a roast chicken, and it fits a roast chicken, and you can air fry a roast chicken in 40 minutes. It's great. But convenience-wise, if I was to bow myself, I would definitely get the Drawers one, because this thing's like a fucking... It looks like the food machine from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That's what it looks like. Except it doesn't just generate food for willy-nilly, although that's what people think it does. Because it's an air fryer, it's magical. Right, pretty simple this. 150 grams of pear, 100 grams of baby tomatoes, and then 100 grams of cucumber. So there's all that. 2 whole eggs and the 550 grams of potato. You gonna grab it for me? Go on. Go on, go fetch. Fetch. Come on, fetch it. Fetch it. Don't just wiggle Colin around. Come on. Come on. Use your feet. Come on. Skills. There we go. There we go. Yeah. But yeah, he's a good footballer, aren't you? Yeah. Olive oil spray, couple of spritzes of that. Put some salt and pepper on top. 25 minutes at 200 degrees. Sadly, you're not going to get the full grandeur of the meal as I've eaten most of the veg and the fruit, but look at them potatoes. Super crispy. And then we got the 2 eggs over here. So that will be the meal, and I'll join the next ones. Okay, finishing off the day. This is meals 4 and 5. So it's 2 rice meals, but cumulative amount of rice in this one today is 188 grams of rice. Very specific, I know. I do autistically weigh it out to the exact fucking gram, even though sometimes some gets left in the pan. There we go, that's right. Okay, stock cube, chicken stock cube for the flavor. Turmeric full of curcumin, which is good for joints, inflammation. So that's nice and orange. Please don't spill that on your white surfaces, otherwise it will get stuck. Some ginger for taste. Again, this is really, really good in terms of antioxidants, etc. Very, very good for digestion. Cumin, I'm pretty sure there's some good parts to that as well. I just like it for the taste, but I'm pretty sure we've also got some good bits in there. I just can't think off the top of my head what they fucking are. So that's all in their pan, and I'm gonna get the veg now. We're going with 100 grams of courgettes. I change it around in terms of the greens, like it's either green beans or courgette. I was doing mange tout for a while, but it just doesn't taste as nice, and I'm not getting that much additional benefit from swapping it that often. So courgette or green bean, obviously after different macros accordingly, but generally still pretty good for me. 100 grams of carrot, that's bang on. Chop the ends off. Oh, oh. Do the Halo theme tune. No. I can't do that. I never even played Halo when I was a kid. I was a PlayStation boy. Half a red pepper. I'm sort of aware. I haven't done a physique update yet. I could take my shirt off for you if you like now, but it might be a bit gratuitous because I'm I'm cooking, so it might be a bit too Nigella at that point, you know, getting your baps out and everything. Although I'm sure it would make for a seductive episode. Right, boil that quick. Right, that's on to simmer now. My girlfriend's just arrived with a Chinese, which I won't be eating. 100 grams of ground turkey in here. 75 grams of avocado. I do have actual avocados, but I bought this a while ago when I couldn't find actual avocados in the supermarket. So we've got the mashed stuff, which is just as good. It lasts ages compared to other avocados, which don't last very long. So that's good. It tastes pretty good as well. It's got lime juice in it. That's why it lasts long. Ah. Hello, hello. What did you get from the Chinese? Just sweet and sour chicken. Just sweet and sour. Oh, I can smell the chips, I was going to say. Then we got 100 grams of kiwi. Yeah, he'll get really pissy if you fake throw the ball. 50 grams of beetroot. Bit of this. Fermented food, kimchi. Need some serious muscles to open this. The spicy kimchi. Once I get that on it, that's that meal done. And we'll do the next one now. Can of tuna, protein sauce, go open it now. Got my hair done. Oh, did not notice when you came in. Didn't even notice I'd have my hair done. Stunning. 100 grams of grapes. Another 50 grams of beetroot, because I just fucking love the nitrates, bruv. Kira Bitely. 35 grams of feta cheese. The Bulgarian kind as well. The real shit. What, the dog? Yeah. He might be. Okay. We are just waiting on the rice, but that is those two done so far. That is meal 4, meal 5. It is what? Ooh, it's 7 o'clock. I'm rather overdue, so I'll have that one as soon as it's ready, that one there. And then I'll probably have the next at around 8, 8:30. And then bedtime is about 10, half 10. So plenty of time to digest both of those meals before we go sleep. And my sleep schedule at the minute is fucked. Well, it's not fucked, I'm just waking up super early, like 4:30 is the norm, which obviously Danny, my girlfriend, who works a normal job, doesn't appreciate me waking up that early. So I go off downstairs, come in here and read first thing in the morning, which is actually quite useful. But yes, prep life. Anyway, it is what it is. We make the compromise. Boom. Cool. Close these up. Have I got a drink out? No, I don't. I need to get some more actually. Fanta Zero. I'm out of Pepsi. I've drunk them all. I'm getting really bad for it, to be fair, but you do. You do. And we share it out equally. I'm not going to weigh it because it's the same amount. It doesn't matter if I share it out equal or not. I'm still going to eat all of it. People will be there like, why don't you have a rice cooker, you savage? And they're like, well, I just don't. I use a pan like a peasant. Cool, done. Right. Let's eat. Actually, salt and pepper's going on that too.